Kid92 here. I'm here to showcase you guys my Burning Abyss deck profile that I took to April 2nd Madison, Wisconsin regionals this past weekend. I placed 25th. I went X2. My only two losses were actually wins that I gave away to my friends. I played it out against them. I 2-0'd them. They knew what I was playing, and I still 2-0'd them. And then I gave them the win on the slip, so then that way they could try to get their invite, because they did not have theirs yet for this season. Yeah. But I still ended up managing to play the entire tournament out, go X2 with Burning Abyss. Yes, 2017 Burning Abyss. So without further ado, let's get into it. I played 3DD Crow in the main deck. I feel like it's the best hand trap. I'm sure you guys all know it is. It has like multiple applications, and against like infernoids, I feel like it's really powerful. Just being able to like banish whatever big monster is the more important one at the time, whether it's the Deviati or the Anunku. Choose your pick. Sometimes it's Fairy Tail, and I force out and make them banish 14 cards for one Fairy Tail just to like burn out their resources and outgrind them. The Terratop engine, that's pretty self-explanatory. 2 Rhino, not 3. I've been playing 2 for a long time because I never want to see this card in my opening hand. I never want to see this card in my hand ever. I always want to like just mill them and just get the advantage. So 2 is a good ratio. Then the 1 Tour Guide, the 1 Graph, the 1 Seer, the 1 Barbar, the 1 Kelcab, and the 1 Rubik. All these one of Burning Abyss monsters had like some utility in the game, so they were all useful in their own way. A little bit different than other people that might be doing. I play 3 Libic. I think this is the best Burning Abyss monster in the deck. It just like extends my game state and allows me to just keep pushing and going further and further. For those that don't know what it does, you can summon any Burning Abyss, any level 3 Fiend Dark monster from your hand, and its effects are negated. It's so good because you can like summon himself off of his own effect. And then 3 Farfa and 3 Skarm, and then the 1 Fairy Tail because we can send any card from our deck to graveyard off of Beatrice. I believe that's 25 monsters. And then we play 4 spells. It's 3 board wipes and a Foolish Burial. Just so Burning Abyss can get over big dudes. And for traps, we play 1 Imperial Order and 1 Skill Drain. That's our one-ofs. I really can't say much about Imperial Order. The one time I saw it, which was round 9, I flipped it. My opponent had Twin Twister. I really can't say anything about it on paper, and it's based on what its effect reads. It seems like it would be pretty good. 3 Trapstone. Now this card was the most MVP card in my entire deck. This card, having this card in the main deck just like made me feel so comfortable. I wanted a card that was gonna allow my game 1 to like be stronger. I wanted my game 1 to be stronger against paleos and trap heavy decks. I'm not really afraid of the traps. As far as like what my monsters can do, I can just outgrind traps. That's not the problem. The problem is when the monsters turn into when the traps turn into monsters. That's where it starts to become a problem because they're all unaffected by stuff. So I want to stop them at the source. I want to like shut paleos down at the source, and Trapstone did that for me. I felt like, in my opinion, I believe that Burning Abyss is. I feel like Paleozoics is the new Burning Abyss. Like people say that about Zodiacs and other decks, but no, honestly, like Paleos is exactly like Burning Abyss. The difference is it's a little reverse. So Burning Abyss has always been like, they start off as monsters and they basically turn themselves into traps. And that's how they outgrind their opponent. Whereas Paleo starts off as traps and turn themselves into monsters. And so like it's the same concept, and like whereas Paleos always try to summon Toad or like that dude that searches out Paleo trap cards, they always try to like make those same dudes all the time, whereas this deck always makes Dante. I mean, it's the same concept, it's just a little reverse. So yeah, I remember like way back then, Trapstone was used against the mirror match again in BA, the BA matchup, because they were all playing chainable traps. They were playing chainable discard traps, and Paleo plays all chainable traps. So you know, and I'm just thinking like, okay, if they can do it, like Trap Stun should work against them, and it was just a blowout card. Like they couldn't do anything to stop this card. It was just ridiculous all day. I negated about 7 Void Feasts. And 7 Void Feasts I negated off of Trap Stun, and they were just blowouts. My opponent just had no answer to it. They just couldn't. They ran out of advantage quick. This was a blowout card against Majespecter. It was a blowout card against Metalfoes. He had 3 Metalfoes counters face down. I Trap Stunned him and then went to attack over his Totem Bird for game. It was just nuts. Like he just couldn't resolve them. Against the Paleos, it was a blowout. It was super easy. And then I played 3 Breakthrough Skill in the main deck. Now, the Friday, last week Friday, I play tested against this gentleman at my locals. He plays Paleozoics, and I was like playtesting over and over and over again. This was before I put Trap Stun in my main, before I put Breakthrough Skill in my main, and we were testing. And I was playing Lightsworn because everyone said like the card was broken and like it had a good decent effect in the graveyard. I just didn't like it because I couldn't use it when I wanted it, and I wanted cards I could use in my graveyard when I wanted to, rather than when my opponent does something. And the Lightsworn, while it's a good card, and don't get me wrong, it is a good card for certain decks, I just don't believe it's the right card for this deck. I think Breakthrough Skill is just a better monster negation trap over anything. It doesn't lose the Twin Twister, and you can you benefit its secondary effect. Its secondary effect was actually the best thing about it all day. Having it in the graveyard was able to a lot of people try to fairy tale you on your turn, and that's generally what they should do. And having Breakthrough Skill in your graveyard on your turn just stops the fairy tales. It cuts it off at the source. It allows them to hit the field, you negate it, and now they don't have that fairy tale for the turn. They have to either use another one, and if they don't have another one, they don't have any way to stop you. You can banish this from the graveyard. There's a lot of times where infernoids will try to keep Nunkus or Deviatis on the field so they can try to negate something and outplay you. Well, you can banish this from the graveyard first and stop that effect, and it shuts it out completely. It has a lingering effect. The ruling is that this card has a lingering effect. It's treated like Effect Veiler. It negates the monster. It negates the monster's effects until the end of the turn. So the turn has to completely end for them to get their effects back. If they contribute for cost on certain they contribute for cost for the monster, but the monster's effects are completely negated. It follows the monster wherever it goes. So it doesn't matter. I stopped so many toads from going off. Having this in the graveyard, just banishing it, negate the toad. And there's a lot of times where they try to attribute the toad to they'll try to attribute the toad later on to attempt to negate something. And the judge told them it follows, so they won't get any of the effects of toad at all. So it just stops it all completely. And toad can't negate Breakthrough Skill from the graveyard. It cannot chain to Breakthrough Skill from the graveyard because Breakthrough Skill does not activate from grave. It's only when you flip it on field that it's an activation. 3 Dinomischus. This card is the best discard trap in the game. It's definitely the best discard trap in the game. It doesn't discard for cost. You target for cost. You banish and then you discard. So it's just gives you all the advantage you need. Your opponent doesn't get to know what you're trying to do. You basically get rid of what they have before they know what you're trying to do. So yeah, it's just too good of a card. And then we play 1 Nightmare Shark, 1 Breaksword. Never summoned Breaksword at all. We play 1 Grand Pulse. This card was insane to help out grind Paleos and other decks. Giga Brilliant was insane. I played double Acid Golem to outplay Infernoids. There was actually a game where I flipped. I knew I had Skill Drain, so I summoned Acid Golem, set Skill Drain, attack for 3,000, pass turn. My opponent tries to do something. That's what it was. It was against the Majespecter matchup. They tried to do something. I flipped Skill Drain, and they just they couldn't do anything from there. They just passed their turn, and then I summoned another BA, attacked over their dude, attacked for 3,000, pass turn, and then they try to like stall with like pendulum summoning. It didn't do much because they only had like 2 monsters at that point, and I summoned another monster, attacked over their 2 monsters because they're weak, and attacked for acid golem. And from there it just was over. They couldn't really stop anything with mine. The 3 Dante, the Beatrice, and then the 2 Downer Magician. Yeah, Downer Magician was insane. Being able to dodge Whiptail's effects by like just putting this overlay, putting this on top of Dante, ensured that your Dantes won't get banished off of Dinomiscus. They won't get banished off of Whiptail's effects. And also I went up against the Zodiac player I went up against. He was playing Madolches with the deck. So like it dodged the Tiramisu, which was really good. So yeah. And then I play F-Zero. This card was just insane all day against Infernoids. Like, this card just forced them out to get their monsters off field. Like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I don't care if they tribute their dudes to banish my guys from grave. I don't care, because I want their guys off the field so I can OTK them. That's like my point of me what I'm trying to do. And then Virgil, never summoned it all day. And then Pilgrim, I pretty much summoned them all day. My opponents were board wiping me. I don't know why. I was like, I get effects off of this, and they're like, oh, okay, what does it do? And some people just didn't know what Burning Mist did or what Beatrice did, and I just got Pilgrim for free. And then I played for my side deck. I played 3 Vanity's Fiend going first. Going first, and then what was it? Going second against Majespecters. This card actually happened to show itself to be really good at going second against Majespecter, because just being able to summon a BA and then like summoning Vanity's Fiend, attacking over their guy, unless they had Tornado, which they only ever play 1, they just couldn't get over this. It was just insane. 3 Ghost Ogre, Snow Rabbit against like Metalfoes and Zoo. 2 Twin Twister, never sided this in. I think I'm probably just gonna take this card completely out of my deck. I don't really like Twin Twister. I've never been a fan of it. In the past 6 months, I have not used this card in a single game. Not a single game in 6 months. This card has provided me no utility. And there is a card out there for the upcoming format that I think is gonna be really good for me to side over this card. And then 3 Soul Release. This card was the most MVP card in my side deck. I kind of like, it's so good. I kind of actually want to main this card because it's so good for what it did for me. But I know the upcoming format, it's not gonna be good in the main. It's better in the side. And I went going second against Paleos and against going second against Paleos and against Metafoes sometimes. And also Infernoids. This card was insane. Mainly against Infernoids, the Lightsworn matchup I had, and Paleo. This card was just insane. Like, my opponent against one of the matchups against Infernoids, he managed to have a Deviati, a Nanuku, and 3 Fairy Tales in graveyard with a whole bunch of cards. He resolved like 2 grasses green around me, and I ended up drawing into this card going second. And I targeted all 3 of his Fairy Tales. Like, at first, before I played the card, I realized, I was like, well, I could target his other stuff because he can just chain Fairy Tale. But I realized, like, because I didn't have anything on field, I wanted his Fairy Tales to actually, like, go off. So, what's the best way to get rid of his Fairy Tales? We'll target him. So, he ended up having to banish the Anuku and Deviati I targeted with one of the Fairy Tales and 5 other cards. And then with the other 2 Fairy Tales, he banished 14 more cards to resolve those. So he banished 19 cards out of his graveyard overall. 21 cards out of his graveyard overall. Because I activated this and targeted 3 of his Fairy Tale. Which then he had 3 Fairy Tale on field, and I just proceeded to put a whole bunch of damage down. And he didn't have 21 cards like he had 21 cards that were just now banished off of that one turn, and I it just like it was impossible for him to come back because he only had like 7 cards left in his grave, which left him with only 1 fairy tale play, which I can just outplay that easily. And then 2 Lost Wind, never sided this card in either. I'll probably cut this card out of my side deck as well because honestly, like, Break the Skill, in my opinion, is just the better monster negation over this. Like, yes, this has applications like cutting a monster and its attack in half. I can understand, but at the same time, I'm not really worried about monsters' attacks. I'm more concerned about monsters' effects, and I'd rather have like 2 negations off of 1 card rather than just the 1. And I'd rather not wait for my opponent to summon a monster from extra deck to like get this card, because I can't like activate it the turn it's set. And then 2 D-Barrier. This card was the best decision I made was siding this card. I felt like I was going to see more Paleos and more Infernoids, and I did. I did end up seeing more of each one, and this card just being in my side deck was just a better choice, because I felt like this card was going to be dead like 90% of the time against Paleo and Infernoid. Now, my reasoning behind siding this was because, like, against, like, the best way to play around D-Barrier is to have, like, traps, like regular traps and hand traps. Just, like, being able to, like, have traps that can shut your opponent out a turn, just for at least a turn, that's the best way to play around this. So, not Twin Twister, just so you know. Twin Twister is not a good card against this. Just being able to, like, have traps to stall another turn. Basically, like, if your opponent sets this and go in first and they D-Barrier you, and let's say you had traps in your hand, you now have ways to stall your opponent out for a turn. If you have traps or hand traps, whatever it is. And that allows you to live for a turn. So it basically makes this be null and void. That's the best way. It's the same way you would play around Max C. Same way. You treat this like a Max C, and you play around Max C by stalling for a turn on your opponent's turn. That's how you do that, and that will win you. That will win you the game usually. And so yeah, I think like siding it worked out perfectly. And yeah, I just think that was the best thing. I'm gonna have my rounds and matchups listed down below in the description. Sorry. Like I said, Trapstone was the best thing I made, and was one of the other best things I made. Putting that card in the main deck just threw so many people off. Won me my games against majespecters, against metafoes, against paleos, against infernoids. Like I said, I negated 7 feasts off of Trapstone. That was the best thing that was like amazing plays right there. Just having that card in game 1 was just clutch. So yeah, this is your boy Jewish Kid 92. I will try to do another Burning Abyss deck profile, and I'll try to do other deck profiles as well. But I'm gonna do a deck profile eventually of the Burning Abyss deck list that I have set up for the upcoming format when the Dinosaur Structure deck comes out, and True Kings and True Dracos and Leica for Zoo is all out in the new set. When all that stuff comes out, my Burning Abyss deck profile will come up for that format. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and subscribe, and your boy Jewish Kid out.